everybody, I'm Jody Vance.
And I'm George-Affleck.
And it's time for...
Oh, Canada. UnSpun.
Makes me cry.
You're hot this week. Your column is...
Ask me how many times I wrote that
fire.
column. Ask me how many times I wrote that column.
You mean over the last few months? Really? 6 times? 7 times?
7 times. 7 times. Well, because I was just mad. And oftentimes when I'm writing the middle, I'm looking to not be mad. I'm looking like, how can I calm myself down? And how can I? And then it was actually Gary Mason of the Globe and Mail, very early days of me writing the middle. He called me and gave me some beautiful words of encouragement. I just love Gary Mason. But he also gave me a tip. He's like, actually, there was 2 tips. One was write drunk, edit sober, which I think is very funny. And the other is when you're editing, print it off so you can go through with a pencil and actually see what you're getting rid of. Because sometimes when you're doing it on a computer, he's like, I'm old school that way. Yep. And so I've kind of, since that conversation with Gary, given myself permission to sort of freeform write over the days leading up. And if I don't use it, it's fine. It goes away. I'm never locked in. So I've had this one document kind of growing and shrinking and growing and shrinking and print it. And let me tell you, it wasn't really middle. It was more mad.
You're pretty mad.
I was pretty mad. So for those who haven't
Cole's
seen,
notes, Cole's notes. I want people to read it at the Orca because it's a good column. It's available at TheOrca.ca. But give us a little taste of it.
A little taste of it. I'm Team Canada. Okay, so being the age that I am, I'm 54 years old. I remember a time not long ago, but feels like forever. I think that's how I start this column because I really feel that way. That people not even from Canada would put a Canadian flag on their backpack when they would backpack across Europe or head to Australia, whatever.
100%. That was me.
It was like a symbol, right? A symbol. So if you saw a Canadian somewhere around the world, you'd likely get invited to dinner.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And right now,
I'd hitchhike and I'd always put my backpack so you could see it so that people driving by would see the Canadian flag and know it was okay to pick me up.
And now, do you think you'd get a ride?
Well, not me. Why would I? They'd be like, "What the hell is that old dude on the side of the road hitchhiking?"
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like with the reputation that has now been attached to our flag. 38.1 million people live in this country, and the 0.1 maybe were loud and occupying and blocking and whatever. And people can say it's other countries and right-wing, whatever influence, blah, blah. I don't care. They used our flag. Like flag, it was, I've never seen it used so much in general in Canada. It's such a not a Canadian thing to wave your flag. The backpack thing is kind of an anomaly. Usually you don't put flags in your front of your house. You don't put flags, we don't wave our flags. We're modest. We're kind of self-deprecating. We're not Americans. So when we saw that, it was weird to see so much flag. And then as you're calling, it's like not always like not kind of the way we wanted to see it maybe. So go read the column, TheOrca.ca, like you said, George, it's right there. It's about not being shouted down. Like, I don't care how loud these people are. And it's so funny. I read it and chime in on it because it is roll call. It's like, roll call. Who are you? Where are you? And let me tell you, there's a demographic associated with those who I pissed off with that column, man. It is very obvious who's like.
I've been watching. And I got an email from one of I won't even say who, but one of our fans who didn't like our last podcast and felt I was a sellout and why did I hate Fox News so much? I don't even know what he's talking about, to be honest, because I think I was talking about Fox was finding it challenging to be
cover
Putin, the whole Putin thing. You ignited in this column. You ignited a certain fan base who I love that the fact they listen.
They do, and
I'm not saying
applause to that. No, but to those people who are watching or listening right now, who are freedom fighters, all about freedom. I'm free to have my opinion. I'm free. I'm a Canadian.
It's a two-way
And I
street, freedom.
disagree. But I disagree with the blockade. I disagree with holding Ottawa hostage. I disagree with interrupting supply chains and putting workers at risk who can't do their jobs because the supplies can't come in. Like everything that, and I've got to point out, while I am ranting at those who are pushing back in a yeah but kind of way, nice column, but and I'm like, okay, got
Classic.
Check mark.
Good British upbringing. That
good British upbringing.
My background.
But the number of people
really well, George. You're doing really well at school. But
can I just? But the people who have found it resonate with them, I feel like there's some quality people who are just like, I've been looking for a way to articulate how I've been feeling, and this column says it for me. Because I did, over 7 incarnations of that column, remove the insults that I had like written.
McLean, your editor's like, are you done yet?
Yeah. He's like, interestingly enough, though, this was one of those ones where McLean sent it back with like, right back at you. No notes, no nothing. Whoa. Just like cleaned it up and there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that guy. He makes me better. And he also lets me say whatever the hell I want, which I kind of dig too. I totally dig it. Let's talk about other things.
He likes my singing for some reason too. So of course.
He does.
Which I could say my 14-year-old son does not. He's always like, ugh, Dad, do you have to sing about everything? I always find a way to sing a song about something just to drive him crazy. I make up songs on a spot that have no complete nonsense, and it drives him nuts.
I also have a 14-year-old son who I embarrass greatly, but I don't necessarily sing. I lip sync at the grocery store in front of him and like jazz hands to the songs with the save on. Yeah.
Oh, Mom.
He's like, Mom.
That is bad.
Yes. Anyway,
but awesome.
Let's get into some world stuff because, talking about our flag around the world. And I had somebody push back and say, hey, it was something that just happened here and it was just a month and it's no big deal. I'm like, listen, I was doing stories on that ugliness to the world audience at Al Jazeera English. There are 300 plus million subscribers to that channel worldwide. It's not just a Canadian thing and it's not just a North American thing. Our flag, we need to hold it up in a way that doesn't make you cringe. Take it off your car windows, take it out of the back of your pickup truck, take it off your semi, and let's use it the way it was meant to be used. And maybe even update it to include First Nations and Indigenous peoples, because there's a lot to be said about that. That was brought up quite a bit as well. Like, we're not the country we think we are. I was like, okay, go back to my other columns that I've written about that. This column is just about today, where we're at. So speaking of today in Ukraine, let's. Did you watch Volodymyr Zelensky addressing British Parliament?
Yeah, I did. He's tearing a piece off. He's not. Obviously, he's exhausted, and there is this dumbfounded question about the no-fly zone that not only he's asking, but many people are asking.
What do you think?
Well, and we kind of touched on this. It's really risky. There's a form. We've tried it. We tried it with Sarajevo and the whole Yugoslavia thing, and it doesn't work because it is a declaration of war. And so you have to ask the question: is this where we're going? Because that's as soon as they decide to do that, they're at war with Russia. Right now, they're like, we're in nebulous land right now, and I know that's terrible, and what the horrors that we're seeing happen in Ukraine, but political balancing acts. And, I heard Ujjal Dosanjh this morning on Mike Smith on CKNW talking about, well, what point, do we let this bully keep bullying us and using nuclear war as a blackmail device? And that's a good question. I mean, when do we push back? What point do we push back? And I would say that the mostly, and Trudeau and all of them are over there, are saying it's when they come to the border of the NATO countries. That's when we push back. But meanwhile, Ukraine's going, help. And Ukraine has always said they identify more with Europe. And
44 million people live there. A peaceful country of 44. Now. Right, yeah. Exactly. So 2 million people flee, leaving significantly more than the population in Canada still within that country. I don't know the answer. I honestly don't know the answer. But I don't know how much more war we can be at was Vladimir Putin, honestly, because with his saber rattling over nuclear weapons, I mean, if he were, heaven forbid, but if he were to actually press that button, I mean, the world would be forever changed, obviously, but the United States would obliterate Russia in a day.
But obviously, the one argument I've heard that's interesting is, well, the one argument I've heard that is interesting is that Chernobyl it was offline for and nobody knew what was going on when it was first taken over by the Russians. Who's really taking care of it? What's happening with Chernobyl? The danger of Chernobyl is equal to a nuclear war if it starts leaking in a massive way, and there's no way to stop it. We almost had that in 1986, and so. If the question is the safety of everyone on Earth, of the question of what is the status of Chernobyl, this nuclear power plant that is potentially in danger of leaking again, is as bad as a nuclear power or nuclear war. So it's obviously we're not diplomats. We're not over there.
No, but that's what UnSpun is.
To deal with diplomats.
We're parsing apart without the repercussions of having to deal with the consequences so much as. But what I'm watching, what I think you're agreeing with, what I'm seeing as well, is how political this all is for, in particular, Joe Biden, in what is a very precarious moment in his presidency. With a demographic of people in the United States that is so divided, as you've said, even with reference to those who would cheer on Putin just because they hate the Democrats. Like, we're going to own the libs. Let's root for the dictator. It's like, what are you talking
nonsense.
about? But it's nonsense, right? So, but balancing that with what is going on a global scale, like why Biden didn't come to the party with the oil and gas, that's part of the immediate sanctions. He had to really think through, okay, how bad is this going to get at the
pump? Here's how I unspin that. This is not something that Biden planned in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. This guy has been planning what's this economic approach and working with these leaders. There's no way this could have come together in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. This has been a strategy for probably from the day he got elected. He knew a long time ago that this was going to be a challenge. He knew with Trump gone that relationship would, that Putin's buddy was, don't come at me for the Trump, but clearly the relationship was different with Trump, whatever that relationship was. So, I think Biden knew that this was a precarious situation from day one of being elected. He has a resume of dealing with all these. This is what he did for years internationally.
Right.
So he is behind the scenes. So this is strategic. He's doing one thing after another. He can only do so much. Obviously Italy, who gets 90% of its energy from Russia, is going to, where do we get our energy from? But America, who gets, whatever, $90 million or whatever it is a day, they can get it from us. They can get it from themselves. There'll be some, high gas prices for a while or whatever.
What about the U.S. not doing the fighter jets that Poland wanted to give to the Ukrainians to fight? And then it's like, well, we can't give it to them because that would look like an act of war. So we're going to drop them off in Germany and the Americans can take over and they can deliver it. And the Americans were like, no.
I think that's 100% strategic. That is all spin right there. To me, that we knew that was that was being discussed for several weeks. The question is, how does that happen? So America has to first look like, oh, hey, no, we don't,
right?
No. But then if this another week, and we
get those
see,
flights, right?
America's going, okay, you know what? There's these planes are, go have at them. It's a question of timing, and so right now America has to look like, no, that's not. A week ago, Biden said he wasn't going to cut off the oil supply to America.
Right.
Here we are.
Right.
So it's all. This isn't just random decisions. These are strategic. Tightening against Russia and putting Putin in his place. Whether it works or not, there's lots of stuff you hear about. There are people in Russia who are saying, good riddance, McDonald's. We don't want you anyways. There's this movement, this pro-Russia, pro-USSR, and this very strong movement in Russia that is saying we want to go back, much like this nationalism that we saw in America. We see it happening all over the world. Is our country should come first. The whole first is not unique to Russia, and this is just. But of course, they have all this firepower, literally, to do what they're doing. But it's the question of to see the whole world, pretty much, except for a couple of countries, just like go after Putin. I don't know if he expected it or not. Maybe he did. I think it's a question that you keep when you watch all the newscasts. And to those who think I don't watch Fox, I watch Fox. I watch CNN. I watch MSN. I watch CBC. I watch them all. And you know, and then you get this.
Me
like,
too,
okay,
by the way.
So like, what is happening in Russia? You get two different stories about what's happening there from the ground, and it's interesting. And speaking of CBC, you mentioned something before the show. What?
Okay, so this one,
and I don't want to slam any other media, but this is.
I was going to say, but I worked at CBC, so I put the caveat here of like one of my favorite newsroom environments that I ever worked in, and I was just a fill-in sports girl, but I got to work with like Gloria Makarenko and Tony Parsons and Claire Martin. And I mean, I had a blast. I got to do Seeking Stanley, some of my favorite people behind the scenes who I now work with on the global group, like Mike Henniger and that group. But I was watching, and forgive me, the reporter's name escapes me in this moment, but he asked a question of Chrystia Freeland and the Canadian contingent. I think it was Melanie Joly as well. And sort of just like, outside somewhere where they were meeting, and just, you know, kind of lobbed this, you know, so many people in Canada are questioning whether or not Justin Trudeau should even be in Europe right now with so much happening back home in Canada. And Chrystia Freeland just looked at him like, I'm not hearing so many people ask that. In fact, you're the only person who's asked that. And then she schooled him for 3 minutes on like exactly hello. But I just thought, was that a misphrased question, or was it clickbaity, or because it was clearly
it became clickbait because he tweeted it out proudly saying, "I did this, haha."
Who was it?
I got
can't
her.
remember his name.
Gotcha. You know, it's a good question that perhaps the Zoom culture is thinking. You know, can't we just do diplomatic relations and foreign policy by
From
Zoom?
afar?
You know, these guys, this is NATO. They got to meet. They got to get in a room. If you've ever worked in, you know, literally, it's kind of like a creative space. Like my business really suffers if we're not all in a room together. We can't. We do a lot of creative stuff, and it's tough to. We did it, but it was. I prefer to have my team when we need to work on stuff. We can do it literally face to face because you get a lot done. I think diplomacy and international relations is kind of, you got to see your people and literally your enemy. You saw the Ukraine and Russia, you know, summit to talk about, you know, whatever. And the guy basically the guy from Ukraine's like, well, they sent their, like, you know, he didn't say it, but they're like D player. Like this guy had no decision, you know, there's basically a joke. So, you know, but if you don't see that person face to face, you know, at least they sent somebody, I guess.
But I mean, looking at what I saw out of Poland today with our prime minister sitting with the leader, talking about the immigrants coming or the migrants coming across the border, and how the Polish people are. Did you see the visual of like the Polish mothers who had left strollers at the train station? I mean, I want to reach out. I want to do something. I want to make change. I want to help. I'm so thankful for them. And it's like, you know, seeing our leader there telling them we are going to help. As a country, we are going to help. What do you need us to do to help with the influx of people who are in dire need
Poland
here?
Can't take them, and we need population. We've already got a commitment of numbers of 500,000 people a year to Canada. So, you know, we need our leader there to also sell it back to us, so that there doesn't anger about us having immigrants move here, and especially people who are in a dire situation like these people are. So it's
amazing. It's
I don't understand
unbelievable.
the question. It was a bit naive and not based on any historical understanding of how the world works.
It bothered me because I thought, did I hear that right? Like I looked at the name, or I looked at the media outlet, and I was like, something's not adding up here. Like it just, I don't know. It felt clicky in a way that I just wanted to talk it through with you, and I kind of feel better having just talked it through. But when we're looking at, okay, our federal government is there. Certainly there are federal things happening here that require the attention of the rest of our government that also remains here. It's not like the prime minister does all the paperwork on absolutely everything that happens in this country, right? But the mandates that are in place federally speaking, like the ones at the border, because people often say,
Mhm.
is Dr. Henry going to stop that testing at the border? And it's like, Dr. Henry's not in charge of the border. It's ew. But
Yes.
today,
Yeah.
Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry and Health Minister Adrian Dix announced a bunch of changes that I think will have a fairly positive impact in terms of on people having some sort of next normal, was what Dr.
Mhm.
Henry used, instead of new normal, because it's the next normal, because it might be a next normal that we have to do some things
Next
that bring
abnormal.
these
That's
things
what I
back.
don't want.
It starts with the masks, though. Like, mask mandate is different than masks being a good idea or something that you should wear. It's like, now it's your personal decision.
Yes.
So
starting Friday, I think, right? Or starting when?
Tomorrow's Friday. So starting on Thursday. So as of 12:01 tonight to tomorrow, you're welcome. Anytime you need to know what day it is, just call me, George. But the option of wearing a mask, knowing how protective it can be for you if you're at all vulnerable, or how protective it can be for someone else if you're in a closed space, and it's an act of kindness, right? So when you hear about the mask thing, what does it make you? What's the unspun for you? Will you wear a mask when you go out anywhere, or are there places it's like, I'm absolutely going to wear a mask if I go on a plane? Or,
you know me, I've been pretty loose on the whole concept since day one. I think the ones like you go, doctor's office, probably. Hospital, probably.
Forever.
Grocery store, depending on how busy it is, but probably not. I've got my third dose. I was interested in that data. 56% of the people in this province had their third dose. Like, what are you waiting for? That was a shocking number. That skepticism that, why bother? So, I got mine right away. So that was an interesting data. If I'm, because that's has a risk with those people who haven't got that third dose. But I think
especially now with the other the Novavax vaccine. So the people that are like, I don't like mRNA, or I'm not really down with that. It's like, you know what?
Okay.
That other one exists now. So just go get that one, and you can get it at your pharmacy. It's like, really, man. Okay, so interesting. I'm kind of in the same. Like, if I were to go to a Canucks game, I might wear it on the concourse, but I wouldn't wear it once I got in my seat. Like, I'm going to wear it in the elevator, but I'm not going to necessarily wear it sitting down at the restaurant. Like, I'm feeling that. But if I'm in, obviously, any healthcare environment or with vulnerable people, if I've been at a party on the dance floor, like I'm going to 5440 next weekend, I'm super excited. I finally get to go to a concert. And if my parents were to come back home and need something from me, I would wear a mask to their house because I had just been at a concert. And I wouldn't, quarantine for 14 days before seeing them. So we've come a long way in that regard. But my 84-year-old and 83-year-old, mom would correct me, but cancer survivors, like, I'd want to be
just take years
mindful.
off, mom, not add them.
Right. But they're boosted, so I feel comfortable enough because they're nice. But we have to just be, I got a friend that's going through chemotherapy right now. She will need me to wear a mask around her, and I'm okay with that.
Will this stop the truckers? Because I heard there was supposed to be a rally planned. Can we call it a day now? We've got the mask, here in BC. Anyways, we're done. Let's move on, shall we? Let's focus on the world issues of the world war that we're about to have. Like, hey, talk about freedom. Let's think about Ukraine. Can we talk about that now, please?
Can we talk about that now? As opposed to your truck
convoy. As much as free speech is important, I think it's time to move on, everyone. And get on with our lives and worry about things like inflation, which, we're heading towards double-digit inflation, which if you look back at episode 20, I think I predicted because of...
You did.
So it's... anyways, I just think I'm just looking forward to this, just moving on. And I think it's just your original question about, I think it's a matter of comfort. And eventually, though, you'll get back to normal as long as this thing doesn't rear its ugly head again. We'll get back to just being whatever we were before, and we can focus on living our lives and traveling and all the fun stuff.
Doing the things we did without a second thought before.
Elections, for example, which we could do this year.
I know, this is crazy. It's so, but before we move on to our next topic, I do want to point out for those keeping track, because I found today's press briefing the most confusing of all of them over the last 2 years, because there were so many like, this is happening tomorrow, and this is happening 4 weeks from now, and this is happening 2 weeks from now. And when your kid comes back from spring break, they go back to school and they don't need to wear a mask. My son was like, I'm going to still wear a mask, Mom. I'm like, okay, you can do whatever you want there, kiddo.
No, he
You're
won't.
fully vaccinated.
There's no way he will. I'll put money on that.
He loves it because he kind of hides behind it. It's like
okay.
a little
Is he a bank robber?
man,
Is that
the man of mystery. No,
okay.
he's very funny. But I do want to talk about a couple things at City Hall. Can I start with? There's a bunch of stuff I want to get to, but
yes, we have a few minutes left.
But patios, man, are you serious with the patios? You need an architect's drawing now.
I heard Brad West. He's like on Mike Smith. One form, one page, one application, no fee, done. Here in Vancouver, nope.
34 pages.
40 to 34. The actual how-to is long. Is longer than the actual forms. It's like it's another metaphor of Vancouver. Come on.
Well, it's like when somebody says, well, the reason why you can't drink at all the parks is because that would be unsafe. And I'm like, okay, well, what makes it safe if it's sold by the city at only certain parks? It's safer booze. If you don't stand on this side of the sidewalk, it's like, come on, we're grown-ups. This is
do it or don't do it.
BS, man. Okay, let's talk about a cup of coffee now.
Your cups. What's that little song from the movie? Cups. I should have started the show with that. I heard McDonald's is charging cup fees across the region.
In Surrey.
And I think they might argue that it's because of the cashier system. I don't know, but you told me earlier that prices are different already in different locations. I didn't know that. And McDonald's already charges a different price for a cup of coffee in general.
Well, my significant other works in the restaurant industry. I used to be a waitress. I've worked in kitchens. Programming your point of sale hardware and software, not that hard. And it costs what it costs at that terminal. It's not like some magic button that lives somewhere. Like Starbucks, I had somebody who was on Twitter that said, I bought my latte, my oat milk, half calf, decaf, non-fat, blah, 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 one squirt, whatever.
Pumpkin spiced.
Something like that in Vancouver. And then I bought the exact same thing in Ladner, and it was 45 cents different. And it's like, well, yeah. I mean, it's a free country. They can charge whatever they can get, rent, right?
All that kind of stuff, yeah.
Sure. Yep. But the McDonald's thing in Surrey is that it was the cup charge, and it was the mini donuts. The mini donuts at McDonald's came in a little bag. Like they asked, do you want a bag with that? And they're like, no. Like, what do they just hand you the donuts?
Open your mouth. Just shove them in.
We'll throw them out the
wait here for 10. Just sit there for 10 minutes. We'll feed them to you. The lineups like down the street for cars, like around the corner, as people get spoon fed their lunch. It's crazy. I think that talk about spin and spinning out of control. This is I am sure McDonald's is going to reverse that decision. It's a moneymaker, as it is in Vancouver, because as we all know, this stupid tax by this stupid Vancouver City Council that decided to stick with this stupid idea. And we're talking mostly about cups. The bag thing we can kind of live with, that's ways around that. But still, it's about revenue for the companies that they weren't getting before. And that it's
strict, but you can't bring your own cup to McDonald's. You cannot bring your own cup.
Or there's a whole process. If Starbucks puts it in a thing and this, it's like, okay, fine. But it's just ridiculous. And before I think Choices used to charge for bags, but I think it was 5 cents. For a paper bag, and now it's 25 cents because the sales Choices is like, oh, great, thanks very much, extra 20 cents.
The dollar store, the bags are $1.
Smart.
It's funny. We've only got like a minute left. I'm going to ask you about the gas thing. Like, well, Alberta is like, we're taking away the taxes. We're just going to save you at the pump, whatever. And here in BC, bueno.
There's triple dipping in tax on gas, right? So the more the price goes up, because it's a regressive, tax. You've got the PST on it, so they're already going to make a lot more money from the PST on the gross number. So there's all the hidden taxes that you don't know about, which represent I forget. It's a huge 17% or something of the.
It's 17%.
Yeah,
correct.
So plus the PST on top of that, and then they tax the tax.
Actually, I think it's 17 cents.
Oh, okay.
On the liter,
but then they tax.
And they tax on the
tax. So they're already going to make that money. So it comes down to it's going to be a massive amount of cash because the price of gas is pretty much doubled in a year. So which means the amount of money they get will get double. So
where's the relief for the consumer, George? Where's the relief for the taxpayer? Where's the relief for the person who cannot afford to drive,
and then
to
you've got
work.
ICBC with a $2 billion profit. Thanks very much, drivers. It's like a war on the driver. So, but you know what? Hey, guess what? This stuff really affects everything. It affects your grocery. Oh gosh, yeah, that's
just
right.
take the bus.
Did
George.
the Premier say that? Like, come on.
Honestly,
I mean, ride a bike. Just ride a bike.
Hearing that is right up there with when I used to rent.
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
anyways,
you've never,
don't worry, our new
mayor
and
the cyclists
will
don't
solve it all in October. Oh, wait,
don't we have a new person joining in the running for
Colleen Harbuck's going to be announcing, not a surprise, her party, and they're doing a nomination, I think, this weekend. So that, we're going to have, I did a tweet about the math on this. I've talked about this before. We're going to end up with a council. This is my prediction based on today's numbers. And I know I got a lot of John Cooper's like, no way, that's not going to happen because he's MPA. I'd say 1 MPA, 3 Greens, 3 one city, 1 Cope, and then 2 random, which will probably be the mayor's new party, and then the mayor that we currently have. That's my prediction based on the 100 people running for mayor, unless an inspiring person comes along and runs for mayor, probably as an independent, and then takes that away from him, or somehow another party really starts. If the MPA can resurge and they bring maybe, but the math just doesn't add up. You've got 5 people running for the right of center for mayor. I mean,
splitting the hell out of it.
John might come in second if he's lucky, but he's not going to win. Not on those numbers. Who's the mushy middle? Who gets the mushy middle? Any of those guys on the right of center? I don't think so. Ken Sim? No, he's a federal conservative, I think. You've got Mark Marison, former spouse of Christy Clark, hardcore BC liberal. That doesn't fly in Vancouver. I don't see it happening. I don't see any way that, right at this point in time, that Kennedy-Stewart can't just walk away with this unless somebody else runs against him on the left, or we lose some of those people that are running on the right of the spectrum. And they're all pretty steadfast at this point to stick to it and ensure Kennedy-Stewart's victory. Well done, guys. You did it. High five. See you on election.
No, we're not done yet because we are going to keep counting down to the election and keep informing people on UnSpun podcast because October 15th, 2022, we go to the polls in municipal elections here, and it is going to be one of the most important ballots ever. And I hope to see a turnout well beyond what we've seen historically. And it is your birthday, George, so they'll do it as a gift to you. But we're 2 minutes over. We promise here on UnSpun that we're the fastest podcast in BC politics and beyond. We're under 30 minutes each and every week, and today we went 2.5 over. We're gonna be punished for this. Make sure you go to TheOrca.ca.
Commercial free. That's unless true. You want to buy an ad, we'll take them.
We should find a sponsor for this.
Hey, bring it on. Email me. Tweet me. George_Affleck.
Jody Vance. Jody with a Y. Vance. You can find me on Twitter and UnSpun podcast as well. See you later, George. Gotta go.
Bye.
Gotta go. Bye.
Bye.